Welcome to this Beginner Hatha Yoga class. You can have a seat with me on our mat and I'll get us started. Let me explain first Hatha Yoga. So Ha and Tha means sun and moon, and it speaks to the duality in everything and all of us. And yoga means unity. So it is unifying everything. The goal in Hatha Yoga is to achieve meditation and lots of kinds of yoga. That is the goal, and we use that by using our breath. So we are using our breath to unify and wrap around our poses. And so our breath is the basis for Hatha Yoga, and that brings us closer to our deep sense of self for our meditation. And we're just using our poses, but our breath is the important thing that surrounds those poses. And in Hatha Yoga, we are using our Ujjayi breathing, which is a style of breathing that's been around for a very long time. It's used in Hatha Yoga to elongate the breath, to fit with our movements, our asanas. So with Ujjayi breathing, how we can do it is with a constriction in the back of the throat, similar to as you're fogging a mirror or glasses. So if you practice that, you can feel the tightening in the back of your throat. And it's also called ocean breath, because when you use our inhale and exhale through our nose, it is a nostril breathing only. We use that constriction, and it sounds similar to the ocean, so some people call it ocean breathing. If you want to practice a few breaths here with me. That sounds good. Do you feel the constriction? Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. So that's what we're looking for with Ujjayi breathing. And like I said, that is the basis for today's practice. So more dynamic poses or more complicated postures might be faster to fit within that breath. That is, your breath will be the basis for this class. And slower movements might be slower, more simpler postures, because you are fitting them within the speed of that same breath. So that is how we're going to practice today. We're just going to take it with our own breath. It might be a little different to mine, and that's okay. Do you have any concerns moving forward into today's class? Any injuries I need to be aware of? No? Okay, great. And then lastly, I will just mention to you that I will be coming around and making adjustments during the static phase of our postures. When we're holding those positions, I might come around and adjust slightly. If you don't want me to do that, please just fold over the corner of your mat if you can, or let me know that you are not interested in me putting hands on you. That's absolutely fine. So otherwise, I will only make adjustments as absolutely needed from an alignment standpoint for safety. That's the only thing I really care about in this class, the most important thing anyway, that is to be noted in this class. This is not about perfection. It's not about flexibility. It is about focusing on our breath and centering ourselves, and that's why we're here. So I'm going to start with some silent sitting. If you want to come into a seated position with me, a comfortable seated position with your seat bones on the floor, it can be helpful sometimes to put a block underneath your seat bones. That way you can have a straighter back in this posture to ground ourselves with our root. So we'll try to have a straight back, pushing our seat bones into our block or the floor. Hands can go onto the knees or the thighs. Shoulders down and back, and keeping our neck in a relaxed position, however is easiest for you. We're going to have silent sitting here, so if you just want to close your eyes and focus on your natural breath in this position. We're just going to stay here for a few minutes. Slowly inhaling and exhaling and focusing on that breath. Just as it comes natural to you. Feeling grounded and centered here. We can also practice our ujjayi breathing from our nose. On your next inhale, focus on that constriction in the back of the throat. See how it elongates your breath and slows it down, and then exhale in the same way. Deeply and completely on your exhale. With your next breath, inhaling, filling the lungs completely. And exhaling, completely emptying the lungs. Inhaling receptivity and exhaling strength from below. Inhaling, opening the rib cage, opening the heart, and exhaling from the abdomen, bringing the belly in. And we'll finally take another moment to just set an intention for today's class. And you can slowly open your eyes now. So that ujjayi breath that we just practiced will set our movement for today. We're going to move into a standing flow, which is 2 or more asanas together. And the asanas that we're going to be using are Tadasana, or mountain pose, and Padastasana, which is our forward fold. So if you would like to come to standing, I'll be facing you for this so you can see. Anywhere in your mat, standing on your mat is fine. We're going to do 4 breaths into mountain pose and 4 breaths linking the poses together. So on your inhale, or we're going to start with our arms by our sides, and our feet hips width distance apart, facing forward. shoulders down and back. We'll take a breath here. On the next inhale, bring arms up overhead. And exhale, palms to heart center. Inhaling, arms up overhead. And exhale, palms to heart center. Inhaling deeply and completely on your own time. And exhaling, palms to the chest. Keeping shoulders down and back, one more here. Exhaling. And now we're going to link it with our forward fold. On the next inhale, bring arms up overhead. And on exhale, you're going to hinge at the waist. Knees can remain bent. And you'll place your fingertips in front of your feet with your neck following the curve of your spine. On inhale, arms come back up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Hinging at the waist. No pressure to straighten our knees. Inhaling, back up. Keeping shoulders down and back, exhaling, emptying the breath from the abdomen, bringing the belly in. One more breath here, inhale up, and exhale, forward fold. With your next inhale, come up, and hands to heart center. Okay. So that was our first standing flow. I'm now going to demonstrate our classical sun salutations. I'm going to do it once and then we can all do it together. We're going to do 20 today total, so that's 10 for each leg. Starting in the same position that we started in the mountain pose, we're going to start at the tops of our mat. Our heels are in line with our hips. Toes facing forward, arms down by our sides. Inhaling, arms up overhead. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Inhaling, arms up overhead. Exhaling, forward fold, but this time your hands will be on the sides of your toes for proper alignment. Inhaling, you're going to bring your left leg back into a low lunge and look up. On your inhale, your knees should be in line with your ankle, and putting your hands aside of your feet helps that to happen properly. On exhale, you're going to bring your feet together in a downward facing dog. The goal here is not to touch our heels to the floor or to have the legs straightened. We are putting pressure, rotating our hips up towards the sky, and following the natural curve of our spine with our neck, shoulders back and down. On the next movement, we're going to hold our breath and bring our knees down, our toes down, our hands down to the mat and our chin, before coming down fully and inhaling up into Cobra. On Cobra, your shoulders should remain bent, shoulders back and down and your toes tucked. Next, exhale takes us back into downward facing dog. Inhaling, we're going to reach our leg that we started with back up front, in between the hands, look up, or straight ahead, whatever is most comfortable for you. Exhaling, feet come back together in the front in a Padastasana or forward fold. Inhaling, arms come back up. Exhaling, hands to heart center. And we're back where we started. Any questions for me about that? Okay. So if you want to come to the top of your mat, we'll now do 20 sets together. Starting with our inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, hands heart center. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold, hands on the sides of our feet. Inhaling, left leg back, look up. Low lunge, knee should be in line with your ankle. Exhale, downward facing dog, feet together. Tilting the pelvis up to reach through the root of our seat bones. Static breathing, we're going to come slowly down to our knees and then down to our mat. Palms should be under your shoulders. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, low lunge with our left leg forward, look up. Exhale, feet together, forward fold. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, hands out. I'm going to stop here just for a second to ask if you could remove your socks. I think it will really help with your grip on the mat and help you with proper alignment. And we'll pick back up off where we left off. Standing with our feet hips width apart, arms out by our sides, inhaling up. Exhaling, hands are at center. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. This time our right leg will come back. Inhale, low lunge, look up. Your left knee over your left ankle. Exhale, downward facing dog. Static breath retention to come slowly down onto our knees and down onto our mat with our palms underneath our shoulders. Inhaling, reaching up. Shoulders should be down and back and our elbows should remain bent. Exhale into downward facing dog. Inhale, our right leg forward. Low lunge in between the hands. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, our center. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, left leg back, look up. Exhale, downward facing dog. Static breath retention coming down onto the mat. Palms below the shoulders, shoulders down and back. Inhale, reaching up with our chest, elbows remaining bent. Exhale, back into downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg forward, look up in between our feet. Exhale, feet together, forward fold. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, hands are at center. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Deeply and completely exhaling. Inhale, right leg back, look up. Exhale, feet together, downward facing dog. Static breath retention coming slowly down onto our mat. With our toes tucked, pressing through our palms up into cobra on inhale. Pushing into the pelvis into the floor. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg forward, low lunge. Exhale, feet together, forward fold. Inhaling, slowly coming back up. Arms overhead. On exhale, hands are at center. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, forward fold. Hinging at the waist. Inhaling, left leg back into low lunge. Looking up or straight ahead with our shoulders back and down. Exhaling, feet together, downward facing dog. Breath retention coming slowly onto our mat. First on our knees and then lowering our chest and our hips down, toes tucked underneath. Inhale up into cobra with our elbows remaining bent. Toes tucked, pushing through our pelvis. Exhaling, Coming back onto downward facing dog. Inhaling left leg forward between the hands with our knee over our ankle on our left foot. Exhaling, feet together, forward fold. Inhaling, arms up overhead. Exhaling, hands heart center. Inhaling, arms up overhead. Exhaling, forward fold. Deep and complete. Inhaling, right leg back, looking up. Exhaling, feet together, downward facing dog. Tilting the pelvis up towards the sky. Breath retention, coming down onto our mat. Inhale, pushing up through the palms, looking up, cobra. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Inhaling, right leg forward between the hands, look up, low lunge. Exhale, feet together, forward fold. Inhaling, arms up overhead. Exhale, hands heart center. Inhaling, arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, left leg back, look up, low lunge. Exhale, feet together, downward facing dog. Slowly come down onto our mat, breath retention. Inhale, pressing through the palms, look up, cobra pose, shoulders down and back. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg forward, look up, low lunge. Exhale, feet together, forward fold. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, palms together, heart center. And we'll do the rest of those focusing more onto our breathing, in our ujjayi breathing. Inhaling, arms up. Exhale. Inhale, right leg back, low lunge. Exhale. Breath retention. Inhaling. Exhale. Inhaling. Exhale, feet together. Inhaling, arms up. Exhale. Inhaling. Inhale, left leg back, look up. Breath retention coming onto the mat. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, low lunge. Exhale, feet together. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale. Right leg back, low lunge. Exhale. Breath retention onto the mat. Inhaling, cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhaling, right leg forward, low lunge. Exhaling, feet together. Inhaling, arms up overhead. Exhaling, hands heart center. We have 2 more sets. I think initially I misspoke and said 20, but there's only 12. So we'll do those 2 more sets focusing on our ujjayi breathing. Left leg back first. Right attention onto the mat. Trying to make each breath deep and complete. One more on the right side. Right leg back. Inhaling, look up. Exhaling, completely downward facing dog. Static breathing coming onto the mat. Inhaling. Cobra. Exhaling, completely downward facing dog. Inhale. Right leg forward, low lunge. Exhale. Feet together. Forward fold. Inhaling deeply, arms up overhead. Exhaling, hands heart center. Okay. Moving into our standing positions. We will do standing positions, then seated positions, some inversions, twists, and then end with forward folding before we move into our savasana or relaxation pose at the end. So our first standing pose is the eagle pose or Garajasana. So I'm going to do it facing you. You're absolutely fine standing in the center of your mat or the top of your mat. You're going to root your left leg first and shift your weight onto your left leg. More easily you can pick up your right leg slowly, and then you're going to twist it as much as you can around your left leg, bending slightly into your left knee. Keeping your shoulders down and back and your tummy tucked in. You're pressing the weight into your left leg. Then you're going to put your arms up in front of you. You're going to keep your left arm steady and move your right hand underneath and around to meet your palm. It is difficult to balance. So if you come out of the pose, you can just reset. The dynamic practice on here is to inhale completely. Exhale, bending at the waist with our elbows hopefully joining to our knees, but it's okay if that doesn't happen. Coming back on inhale. Exhale. One more exhale. Inhaling, come up. And hold here for 3 breaths. One more breath here. Okay, relax out of the posture. Coming back to starting pose with our feet below our hips, we'll start to shift our weight into our right leg. Then we'll pick up our left leg slowly and wrap it around the front of our right leg as much as we can here. It might be easier with one leg than the other leg, and that's absolutely fine. If you can just cross at your ankles, that's fine, and bend into your right knee. That's an important part of the balance. Then you're going to take your arms straight in front of you and wrap your left arm around your right. Okay, so inhaling, exhale, elbows bringing down to your knees, keeping your back straight, bending at the hips. Inhaling, coming back up, shoulders back and down, exhaling. It is a little bit of a squat into your hips, keeping your knees bent. I do feel it in my quads doing this pose. Exhaling. Inhale, come up. Exhaling one more time. Inhale, come back up, and we'll stay here for 4 breaths. It's okay, we'll come out of the pose. I know that's a tricky one. Okay, so our next pose is going to be, you're going to remain standing. You can remain standing in the center of your mat, and I'll meet you there. It is Utkatasana or chair pose. I'm actually going to turn and face the wall so that you can see me from the side as a better demonstration. So we're going to take the same beginning position, feet hips width apart, arms down by our sides. Inhaling. Exhale, arms look overhead, sinking down into the hips. We're going to be putting our weight back into our heels. So I can lift my toes up off the floor. You don't have to do that. But that's where our weight is going to be behind us. Our back should be straight and aligned with our arms, and then the goal is to look up towards our fingertips. Inhaling, come up out of the pose. We'll do that together for 3, and then sit in chair for 4 poses, or 4 breathing. So inhaling, on exhale, into chair, sitting back into the heels, bending at the waist, looking up towards the fingertips. Inhale, come up. Exhale into chair. Inhale, come up. Exhale into chair. Inhale. On the last exhale, we'll hold it here for 4 breaths. And I'm going to come around and make adjustments as needed. We're holding here for 4. Try to hold it for 4 breaths. Leaning back into your heels with your arms up overhead. It looks great. Everyone looks fabulous. And I'll meet you here for one last breath. On inhale, your next inhale, come up. And arms by your side. Okay? Now we're going to do our warrior poses. So we're going to do Virabhadrasana 1 and Virabhadrasana 2. If you want to come to the top of your mat, I'll do it in front of you to the side so you can see a little bit easier. You're going to be stepping your left leg back in a large step and keeping, I'm doing my right so you can see me facing you, but the correct way is to start with our left leg back. Take a large step and keep your back foot at 45 degrees, straightening both of our legs for right now. We're going to keep our hips square facing forward and arms up overhead. Inhale. Exhale, bend into our knee. Inhale. Shoulders back and down. Exhale, bend into the knee. Keeping your knee over your ankle in the direction of your toes. We're going to hold it here now for 4 breaths. left knee, or right knee, and come to standing back in the front of our mat. Now we're going to switch sides. So I'm going to be doing my left leg back, you'll do your right leg back. Take a large step back with your back foot at 45 degrees, hips facing forward, arms up overhead, shoulders back and down. Inhale, exhale, bend into our right knee. Now hold here for 4 breaths. On our next inhale, come up to standing. And you can step those feet forward. And now we're going to be doing Virabhadrasana 2, or Warrior 2. So I will stay on this side of the mat and do my left leg back with you all, so we'll be doing the same thing. Starting with our feet hips width distance apart again, we're going to take a large step back with our left leg back, but this time instead of 45 degrees, your foot will be at a 90-degree angle. You're going to keep your hips in line with your legs, so not facing forward this time, facing to the side, and you're going to reach your arms out on either side horizontally, and look up, look over your right fingertips in front. On inhale, exhaling, we're going to bend our right knee. Our knee should be in line with our right toes facing forward. Inhale, come up. Exhaling. Inhale. Exhale. One more breath. On this exhale, you're going to hold the pose, trying to keep our shoulders in line with our arms. Often your left arm will start to fall a little bit, your arm behind you. Try to keep it level, gazing out over your right fingertips, keeping our hips in line. And the objective with Warrior is actually to get your thigh completely horizontal to your mat. But that's absolutely understandable if you can't do that. You have to keep your knee in line with your ankle first. So if you need to do a wider step on the next one, you can. On the next inhale, you're going to straighten that leg and come back to center. Okay, now we're going to step our right leg back. Take a large step back with your right leg at a 90-degree, and your hips should be facing to the side, not squared in front of you. Arms should be straight out alongside, in line with your legs, gazing out over the left fingertips. Inhale. Exhaling, leaning forward into that left knee, keeping your knee over your ankle. Inhale up. Exhale, bend into your knee. Inhale. Exhale. One final breath. And on exhale, we're going to hold it here for 4 breaths. Keeping in mind your arm that is behind you, trying to keep it level at your shoulder. On your next inhale, come up, straighten that knee, and bring your feet together forward. That is the end of our standing postures. So now you can come down onto the mat into a seated position, and we're going to do a flow sequence first. So we're going to come down with our hands and our knees, sort of in a tabletop pose. Your palms should be underneath your shoulders. So your hand should be directly under your shoulders. You can keep your spine in neutral, and your hips should be directly over your knees. So we're going to take an inhale here, and exhale into downward facing dog. Inhaling tabletop. Neutral spine, exhaling into child's pose, sitting back on our heels, stretching our arms out in front of us. Inhaling back to tabletop. Exhale into downward facing dog. We're going to run through that sequence 3 more times. Inhaling completely into tabletop. And exhaling into child's pose. Inhale, tabletop. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Inhaling, tabletop. Exhaling into child's pose. Inhaling, tabletop. Exhaling, downward facing dog. One more time through this. Inhaling into tabletop position. Exhale, sitting back on our heels in child's pose. Inhale back to tabletop. Exhaling completely downward facing dog. Bringing the tummy in towards the spine. Lifting our hips up to the sky. Inhaling back to tabletop. And we can sit back onto our heels and we'll move into our next posture. So we're going to be doing a diamond pose, which is Vajrasana. So I'm going to sit facing you. You're going to stay sitting on your heels, similar as you would in child's pose, but we're going to be sitting with our torsos up. And we're going to be putting our hands horizontally towards each other, with our fingers facing each other, and our elbows are bent. Our thumbs are facing towards us. So we are making a diamond with our arms, and that's why it's called diamond pose. So we're going to close our eyes here and do 4 breathings here, just holding this pose. Inhaling, lifting your chest up. Exhaling, emptying, pulling the belly in, deep and complete. Keeping the back nice and straight, the neck tall, the head, crown of the head towards the sky. One more breath here. Okay, you can slowly open your eyes. And we're going to be moving into boat pose or Navasana. We're going to sit in the middle of our mat for this one, with our knees in front of us. Holding our knees, we're going to lean back slightly and bring our feet off the floor. Hold onto our thighs. So on inhale, we're going to reach our legs out in front of us as best we can, keeping our arms horizontally forward. If you can't, you can just continue to hold your knees and do your breathing here. Inhaling, straightening your knees, exhaling, bringing them towards you. Inhaling, leaning back slightly, exhaling, bringing your knees to you. Inhaling for the last time, we're going to hold it here for 4 breaths. Leaning back but keeping your spine straight. Try to keep your knees straight. It is very difficult. On one final exhale, bring your knees back to you, hug your knees, and you can place your feet down. And now we're going to be moving into bridge pose. So I like to scooch down a little bit because we will be laying on our backs. Hugging your knees at the front of your mat. Lean back. Place your back and your head on the floor, and your toes, or your fingertips, should be touching your heels, is how close you should be with your feet in. So this is bridge pose, or Setu Bandhasana. On inhale, you're going to tilt your pelvis up towards the sky, lifting off the floor and bringing your arms up overhead. Exhaling, bringing your arms back down to your sides and bringing your pelvis back down to the mat. Inhaling, tilting the pelvis up. Arms slowly making their way overhead as you expand the rib cage. Exhaling, coming back down onto your mat, bringing arms back down to your sides. Inhale, tilting the pelvis up. Keeping your chin tucked, don't lean into your neck. You should be putting more pressure onto your shoulder blades. Exhaling, bringing the arms and your back slowly down to the mat. And on this final inhale, we're going to hold it here for 4 breaths. Pushing through your heels into the mat to keep your pelvis up and tucked. Shoulders should be back and down. Maybe pushing up higher a little bit each inhale, bringing your chest up, but keeping your chin tucked to protect our necks. Pushing through the heels. On your next exhale, you can slowly come down, bringing your hands back, arms back down by your side, and you can do one final breath here.